Special meeting of Burleigh County Commission to order. First item on the agenda is roll call of members.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes, here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab. Here. Commissioner Wacken.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. The only other thing on the agenda is consideration of bids and awards for the Provident Remodel Project. Alicia, you want to start out with that, or Dan?
Good afternoon, Commission. All right, we had the bid opening for the Provident rebid last Thursday. So I'll kind of run you through all of the numbers on this with kind of a few explanations. So that first one is actually Northwest Contracting's original bid from March 19th. We've been holding their bid. We had 60 days to do so that we could do the rebid. That 60 days is up this weekend, so that's why we're having the special meeting today to kind of make a final decision. So Northwest was the low bidder for the general contractor bid back in March at about $5 million and change. We do suggest accepting the alternate. In the original design, we had price estimates for both quartz and solid surface, and during design quartz was cheaper, but during bidding we kind of heard that solid surface, that had kind of flipped, so we issued an alternate to be able to bid on solid surface, and so that would be a deduct of $65,000 if we switched to solid surface instead of the quartz. So for the new bids that were due last week, we had the bid for Herzog Roofing for a re-roof. That was an alternate. At this time, the roof is not leaking. It was kind of recoated about a year ago, but we did want to have a price for that with all the other work happening in the building, if it made sense to do it at this time. With the bids overall being high, right now we would suggest kind of waiting on that re-roof and maybe doing it when you guys can look at the Verizon contract. The contractors did bid this as if that Verizon tower and all of their electrical wiring and everything up there would be removed. With how much is up there, it would have to be relocated at a minimum temporarily just to be able to do the re-roof. So that might be something to kind of budget for the future. So we had 3 abatement contracts that were bid. Environmental Plant Services, Horsley Specialties, and Safe Tech's bid did arrive late, so it was unopened. They mailed theirs, and it was received by the auditor's office at 11:30. So theirs was not opened. Horsley Specialties was the low bid at $322,795. If you flip over and go to the back, we had 2 bids for mechanical work. One from H.A. Thompson and Sons. They had the low bid at $8,372,000, and then another bid from Peterson Sheet Metal. The alternate they had would be in relation to the roof. If we were to do the re-roof, there are some mechanical items up there that could be done at the same time. So that's that $2,000 alternate that you see. And then we had 3 electrical contractors bid. We had Fetzer Electric, Magnum, and Skills. Skills was the low bid at $2,923,459. So in terms of our original budgeting, the abatement came in pretty much right on budget. General contractors came in under. Electrical came in a little high. In talking with them, some of the tariffs and things like that have gone up. And then mechanical did come in high, but that's the largest portion of the work of the building. And some of that scope did grow from our original estimates a year ago that we did. So, as more investigation of existing systems happened and just more things that needed to get repaired as we dug in. So. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions?
Yep, Dan's got a few comments.
Okay.
So a little bit further breakdown for you. Dan Schaff, HDG Architects here. So if you were to look at taking the general contracting, the low Northwest contracting, taking out the courts, the $60,000. So their total bid would be $4,969,100. Okay, if we don't do the roof, we don't do that $800,000 for the roof. We keep the asbestos abatement, the low by Horsley Specialties. That's $322,795. We go with the mechanical and plumbing of H.A. Thompson and Sons being the low, the $8,372,000. And then we take the low electrical, Skeels Electric Company at $2,923,459. The total overall budget would be $16,587,354. I'll repeat that. $16,587,354. And that's removing the roof portion of the project and any alternates pertaining to that roof. Thoughts, questions, concerns? I know it's getting up there. Like I said, that bulk. The bulk is coming from the mechanical and the electrical. They're the big portions of the project.
I don't know if I have any questions other than a lot of concern with the dollars.
Right.
I mean, you expect it to be correct. I get that. When we started this project, it was a clean carpets, paint, and move. Could do this for a little bit, not a problem. I'm struggling.
Understandable.
I have concerns over the dollar amount as well, but, you know, this is a little bit of a cautionary tale. If you extrapolate this out over 30 years of not doing a maintenance schedule on a building, this is what you get.
Yeah.
So break this out over 30 years and the number's better,
Yeah.
but it's been pushed off and the can's been kicked down the road for far too long. And I can't imagine these numbers are going to go down for next year or the year after or the year after that.
Nope. Nope.
I don't see any chance of that happening.
No.
There isn't.
Zero.
And walking through with the maintenance gentleman over there, they're failing. The mechanical's failing over there. So to try to patch in the fin tube, it's a Band-Aid. I mean, you're going to be spending it's not going to be cheap. You're going to be spending money, and you're going to be constantly working on it. They're getting to the point where the boilers and the components that are in there, they're having a hard time even getting parts for them.
Yeah, well, the last time I was over there, they had parts laying around on the floor where they were trying to replace some of the tubes and the
Right.
different stuff, and it was just,
Well, it's some of the same issues we ran into with the courthouse. It's,
Yeah,
when you
exactly
push
right.
stuff off too long, you wind up costing the taxpayers more money in the long run. So there's some sticker shock with this number, but when you put it out over 30 years and the failing of not having a good maintenance program in place and upgrading equipment on a regular schedule like you should, this is the number you get. It's easier to swallow when you break it, divide it by 30. It's a better number. But,
Pay it in 30-year.
well,
well, you could, but I don't think that would.
yeah. Unless the
I
finance
don't think-
department can get really creative.
Yeah, I don't think
Add
that would be a
interest
good
to
idea. You know, the simple fact is we did set aside some money for this with the ARPA funds. And secondary to that, we do have sufficient funds on hand to move forward with the project. Anyway, Commissioner Schwab.
In looking at this, ask me if I'd be close or not. According to this, I would estimate a building like that to be built for about 51 million. Would I be correct?
Yeah, during one of the previous commission meetings, we provided that cost estimate, and it was right about that 50 million to build a similar building new.
Well, we don't have $50 million.
No,
$51
absolutely
million.
not. No, we can do this one.
How do you
We can't
want
do
it?
50 million.
How do you want to go about approving these individually?
Well, we have accepted the general contractor's bid. We
Yeah,
haven't
realize that.
made it official, but I think accepting those bids and a motion to move forward based on that is probably our only option at this point.
Yeah, it's gonna cost you $1 million every 6 months.
Yeah. You know, and I did have a conversation with the finance staff regarding possibilities of bonding and whatnot. And that originally started because of the situation with the sales tax and the jail, where we were getting better interest rates with the investments than we were paying with the bonds. Well, that has flipped now to where, in my understanding is that the bond prices, or it would cost more to do a bond than it simply would be just paying cash. Just so, unless the finance director has any additional information on that, nothing additional. That's pretty clear. So.
I'm ready to accept these low bids. They're not gonna change
No.
in the next half hour.
No, we've rebid this now a couple of times.
Yep,
Because of that.
that's enough.
Yeah.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bids and move forward.
Exactly.
Any further discussion? Seeing none.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcox.
before we go jumping in on a $17 million project, you talked briefly about how we're going to pay for this, but we did a low-cost loan on McKinsey Hall Road with Bank of North Dakota. Has anybody, that was a state program, I think, at the time that was doing that, but have we talked with them anything about a low-cost loan? Are they available or anything like that? I hate to commit to, and what kind of a commitment are we actually making if we approve these low bids? I mean, is that a ironclad commitment, and now we
Yes.
have to find out how to pay for it?
Yes, that would be an ironclad commitment. It was 16,580.
354.
Yeah, 16,587. And I think we can certainly look into whether there's a low-cost development loan or something through the Bank of North Dakota. I guess we have not done that I'm aware of. Lee, have we? But we can certainly do that because we have time to decide whether we take that route or not.
Well, that was my question. We do have time.
Yes.
If we go to a bonding rate, what is that bond? What are bonds going at now?
Lee, you have any information on that?
4.5%, 5%, something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking in that 4.7, but you might have.
Chair Bittner, Commissioners, Commissioner Woodcox, my recollection of my conversation with our bond guys was a comparable county a month or 6 weeks ago got 4.25% on I think it was a 15-year bond of similar amount of money. So 4.25, your mileage may vary a little bit.
So we'd be committing how much from ARPA money, and the rest we'd be financing at about $10 million, something like that. Is that correct? Close?
That's close, Jerry, yeah. That's close.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
But in the meantime, I think we'll just direct staff to look into any other possible options and to lock in any other investment rates that would apply. How's that, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, have we talked about construction time or anything like that? Is this, because we were talking about a commitment of maybe a 2-year time, and then maybe if we clean some of, move some people out, it would be only a year long, or have we firmed that up at all?
Yes, we have. When you want to speak a little bit to that? Yes, we have, Commissioner.
Okay. What did we end up with?
I think we're still at about 2 to 2.5 years. We looked at the phasing, and there's not, from my understanding, a good place to put human services as of right now. So the current plan is for them to remain in the building unless something has changed from the last time we spoke.
Right.
But the project would be done in 2 large phases and take about between 2 and 2.5 years. That timeline would be firmed up with all of the prime bidders. We'd bring them all to the table and to discuss that timeline and kind of finalize that with the group.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, concerns? Seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
No.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. There being no other business on the agenda for the special meeting, we are adjourned. Thank you.